In this video, we will talk about how Benjamin Britten used the materials from the introduction to compose the rest of the four movements in his suite for violin and piano, op.6. Britten was an English composer. He was a central figure of 20th century British music. The suite for violin and piano, written in 1935, was his only work for this instrumentation. We will be focusing on two main aspects we found in the introduction. I will elaborate on the pitch collections, while Marco will discuss the prime forms. Firstly, Britten used the whole tone collection as one of the elements in this piece. The introduction started with a whole tone collection in the violin part, with an interval of augmented sixths apart. The first bar is an on-beat rhythm, followed by a syncopated rhythm in the next bar, then back to an on-beat long note, and the violin continues to hold the high B, but in a syncopated rhythm for 4 bars. This whole tone collection appeared again almost at the end of the fourth movement, also in the violin part. It is entirely the same as the introduction. It has the same notes and same intervals apart. However, its rhythmic pattern was just the opposite of what it was like in the introduction. It started with a syncopated rhythm, then changed to an on-beat rhythm after the second entrance of the piano. The violin holds the high B in a syncopated rhythm for 2 bars, and turns into a string crossing pattern with an on-beat rhythm afterwards. The whole tone collection is like a recapitulation of the theme. It leads to the end of the fourth movement, which is the end of the piece. Secondly, Britten used a lot of pentatonic collections in this piece, presenting them in different forms. It first appeared in an escape tone gesture in bar 8 of the introduction in the violin part. Later in the first movement march, a similar gesture was found in the bar before figure 5 in the piano's right hand. Other than the escape tone gesture, it also appeared in the form of block chords, which is located at the end of the introduction. Similar forms can also be found in the third movement lullaby, for example bar 9 and bar 13 in the piano part. Besides the two forms found in the introduction, the pentatonic collection appeared in a scale-like gesture in other movements as well. For example, in bar 29 of the second movement Moto Perpetuo, where the piano plays the pentatonic scale on the right hand, and in bar 20 of the fourth movement Waltz, also played by the piano's right hand. Furthermore, the pentatonic collection can be found in some melodies. For instance, the melody played by the piano in bar 35 of the first movement. And the beautiful melody of the violin in bar 79 of the third movement. To conclude, there are two types of pitch collections that Britten used in the introduction. One is the whole tone collection, which Britten used as a theme to connect the introduction and the last movement. The other is a pentatonic collection, which Britten used as an element and presented in different forms throughout the piece.
Not only did Britten utilize different pitch collections, but he also made use of several prime forms as his inspiration. Within the introduction, 3 main prime forms can be found, in which they reoccur in the other movements, sometimes with slight variations in its structure. They are 0135, 0235, and 0257, respectively. I will first explain its appearance in the introduction and then give examples found in the other movements. First, let's delve into the prime form 0135. It is located in the piano part in an alternating fashion between the left hand and the right hand. The oscillation between both hands intensifies, from simple dotted rhythms to tremolo playing. An interesting fact to include is that the other sets of 0135 were related by inversion, as shown here. Now, onto the examples. The first example of the prime form displayed the dotted rhythms, as shown on the left. Whereas the example on the right does not show a specific rhythm. Rather, all the notes make up for the prime form, making it a very subtle appearance. Scale-like patterns frequently appear in several movements, which is also used in the pitch collections previously. These scale-like gestures can be both ascending and descending, as shown in the examples here. Lastly, we have the escape tones. It is a prevalent pattern throughout this piece, as we will discover in the other prime forms. Now, for the second type of prime form 0235. It is located in the violin part in the introduction with the form of escape tones. Similar to the 0135, dotted rhythms and scale-like patterns are easily seen. An additional presentation of the 0235 is the alternating left hand and right hand pattern with references to the introduction. The example here demonstrates the idea. In the third movement, the prime form appears to be more recitative and lyrical, but the elements of escape tones are kept. Finally, we will look at the last prime form, 0257. Its appearance in the introduction are almost identical with that of the 0235 in the violin part, but only with different intervals, thus making it another prime form. Chordal and arpeggiated forms make their debut with this prime form, especially found in the second movement. Escape tones are retained in most examples later on, making it a significant rhythmic figure for this prime form. The escape tone gesture can be located in the harmony of the chords instead of the melody. It can be in the accompaniment of the violin part, for instance in the top example, and the bottom one in the melody of the piano. A similar melody can be located at the opening of the third movement, with slight differences in its contour. Likewise, the recitative form and the basket of notes within the bar reappears. To summarize, Britten employed three prime forms that first appeared in the introduction, and later on, these prime forms would recur in different movements, with slight variations in its structure, rhythm, and contour, thus showing the linkage between the introduction and the four movements.